Hey, I'm Dragon Eel. Welcome back to my Undersea Grotto, where I've got a little secret to tell you. I love Super Mario, and when I was little, I was around my aunt's place and my younger cousin was playing this cool looking game on his DS, but being only around 5 or 6 years old, he couldn't complete some of the stars in said game. I was a big hotshot at New Super Mario Bros, so naturally, he came to me for help. And I got an extra star for him, and every time I'd go over, I'd help him get another, and another, and another, and... Yeah, I couldn't do that one. But it got me hooked. How did I not know about this game? I loved Mario! I would eventually get my hands on my own copy, bought the Wii U Virtual Console version, and then later, the Super Mario 3D All-Stars version because hot diggity dog, I love Super Mario 64. And it's mostly because of the worlds that were masterfully created by Nintendo. For years, people have sung their praises. They still do. But later on in life, I came to realise that not all of these courses are made in the same level of quality as each other, and some of the ones I used to think stunk, well, they're actually pretty cool. So allow me to take you lovely viewers on a journey through my worst to best of Mario 64's courses. No Bowser levels included, or any of the Secret Star courses for that matter. I'd love to have them in here, but they'd sort of all just be down at the bottom of the list. I mean, my favourite stages are the big open worlds with loads to explore. That's just 3 straight lines! So let's not dilly or dally and take a gander at... Each world in most Super Mario games consists of a set theme, your grass, sand, snow worlds, but on occasion, they have standalone level themes. Ghost house levels that have you wandering spooky hallways, ones that have you navigating sewers, and some that have you up in the sky treading clouds. This is the theme that Rainbow Ride uses. Sort of. While we are up in the sky with no ground to catch us if we fall, there aren't any clouds or anything, there's just kind of a load of random platforms all over the place. The very start of the course drops you right next to a magic carpet, so you might think, oh right, we're doing Aladdin, maybe this will be all princesses, sort of fairy tale themed. And it almost seems like that. There's a big old castle in the sky, quite Jack and the Beanstalk-esque, there's a flying ship. Does that count? And wait a minute, a giant vertical maze? What the hell is this all about? Yeah, there isn't a whole lot of interconnectivity to the course, and the pieces that might seem to go together are spread so far between completely different paths that you'll forget they're even part of the same world. But it's clear Nintendo wanted to push these as the big selling points, as the first 3 stars revolve completely around them. I think one of the main things that drags this stage down though, and everyone points it out, it's the carpet. See, even on the worst courses in the game, it's still fun to traverse them in your own way, making your own path. And people usually hate water-based worlds for restricting that a bit, but this really restricts it. You have to wait on this goddamn carpet 4 times, and it is an absolute drag! And even if you can find a couple of creative shortcuts, you're still gonna have to ride this thing eventually. Not to mention it disappears if you step off it for too long, so on giant turns like this one, if you take the time to rest like the course clearly wants you to do, you can get completely sabotaged. There are a lot of instant death traps here too. The last star has you taking a blind shot to a pretty small platform, but there's a bloody chuck ya on it too. And the tricky triangle star, if not done correctly on the first try, will send you sliding right off the edge. But I suppose it is meant to be difficult being the last course in the game and all. This is the last course in the game? This? You're actually telling me that Nintendo's big send-off to the main courses in this game was that? There are a few courses designed vertically in this game instead of horizontally. Womp's Fortress, Cool Mountain, and Tick-Tock Clock, to name a few. But none are truly more bland than Tall Mountain. First of all, this game is old. It can't help that. It doesn't look the best. But look at this. Everything's the exact same colour, apart from the mushrooms, and that doesn't sound like a huge deal, but like I alluded to with Rainbow Ride, the lack of theming can be pretty detrimental to a course's reputation, and this one certainly suffers because of it. But let's take a look at what else is on offer here. It's just a less cool mountain. Literally, it's just a big rock you can scale with bits to do along the way. It even copies the slide from that course, and you may notice that towards the upper half of this list, worlds with sub-areas tend to be more favoured for me personally. However, this slide, it just ain't it. It's far too long, with so many parts where you're just sliding straight, doing nothing. Then on some of the forked turns, if you don't take the right lane, you're hitting a dead end. That's cheap as hell! And look, I'm all for a difficulty boost at the end of the day, but with the physics and the controls on this game, some of these turns can feel almost impossible to pull off. And it's not like you can just hop straight into it like you can in Cool Mountain, because the entrance to the slide is all the way at the goddamn top! And I know someone in the comments is going to go, ooh, well actually it respawns you at the start of the slide if you fall off. Yeah, well that's nice and all, it's great, but you still have to climb the entire thing your first time around. Ukiki makes his only appearance here and he's fun, he's alright, he helps you get a couple of stars along the way. I do like when these courses have characters in them, regardless of how small their role is compared to the other stars, it just feels like it gives that little extra bit of personality. The red coin star is pretty cool too, you've got to do some tight platforming and it actually makes use of a different change of scenery a bit with the Monty Moles and the vines here, but whenever I play the game, this is always just a course I'm never looking forward to coming back to. For me, the only edge it has over Rainbow Road is that, yes, miraculously, this course is at least designed like a habitable area. It's not just random assets in the sky. It does technically do what it says on the tin. It's a mountain, and it's very tall, but that's not an achievement, that's just describing something. Look at this, I'm red and I'm purple. There, I described myself. Now where's my medal? If you think I deserve a medal, then I'm sorry, you are a fool. Speaking of theming, a course that IMO, as the urban youth of today might say, only gets by on its theming is Tickety Tockety Clockety, colloquially known as Tick-Tock Clock. Note, it is very cool that you can change the speed of the course's mechanics depending on when you jump into the clock face to enter it. We're noting it here because I am not adding it to my opinion of the course at all, soz. So Clock is obviously yet another vertically structured course. My favourite! But wait, is this one alright? Well, hot damn! Yes, it is. This course is bottomless like Rainbow Ride, and it's built like Tall Mountain, so it should fall victim to all of their cons. And yet, I don't know, something about this, man, it just works. I think being locked in a giant spiral instead of working around the outer edge of a course really helps it stand out, as everything's compact nice and tightly. You won't have long stretches where you're just running along the edge trying to get to the next point. The stars here are also just pretty good. Yes, you have to climb up the clock every time, but you never have to go to the very top again and again. You'll be stopping off at different points along the way to explore different side paths. It's neat, I do quite like that. The music ain't great. There are only 7 themes used across the 15 courses, meaning, yeah, some of them get reused. But this one, named Slider, isn't even a course theme. It's from the Princess's Secret Slide, a bonus area. It wasn't meant to be played for a prolonged period of time, and trust me, there are moments here where you'll be doing nothing but listening to it for a prolonged period of time. Doesn't help that the only other course it shares its music with is, God, Nintendo really were trying their best to make us hate these courses, huh? Yeah, I'm sorry, Tick-Tock Clock, you don't really do it for me. I like stomping on your thwomp, I don't mind altering reality to collect some red currency, but I don't want to stay here all the time. Hey, get it? Time? Because it's a clock! Oh boy, this is where I annoy some people. Look at you all, now that I mentioned the thing about the music, you're all trying to match the track to the course. Absolute sheep. Anyway, Tiny Huge Island is clunky as hell. If you ask me, the tiny version is just way too slippery. Every slightly angled surface sends you flying off the world like it's nobody's business. And the huge version, well, all the enemies get enlarged too, and their hitboxes can be all over the place. Goombas especially are a real problem here. People like to gas this course up because, ow, it's based on that one world from Super Mario Bros. 3! Brother, I did not play Super Mario Bros. 3. I don't give a flying whoosh. It is very useful to be able to change the size of the land within the course. It was a pain to reach the red coins from Tick-Tock Clock and realise you had to exit the course, establish the speed you need the mechanics to be moving, and re-enter it again. But on Island, if you can find one of these pipes, of which there are 3, that's pretty nifty, you've got quite a bit of wiggle room to find one of these, you can change the size of the world however much you want. We all know how fun character inclusions are, and we get a new one this far into the game. This is the 13th course, by the way. You'd think they'd be running out of steam by now. But Nintendo keep introducing newcomers through and through, and you've got to admire them for that. And it's the first boss on this list, oh my god! I love Wiggler here, despite how out of place they feel. I mean, Wigglers are usually found in forests and woodland areas, not caves underground. But the boss still serves as one of the strong points in this course to me, and there's a good little story arc to it too. You find the pool at the top of the island while looking for itty-bitty secrets and smash a hole in the ground of it. You fight him, it is him, in his fury after flooding his home, and then you can rob him of all his riches down below! And people call Bowser the villain. We get the return of my guy Koopa the Quick. We love Koopa the Quick. He's fun to race here. In fact, he's gotten a little faster since we last met him. But you only have to travel about a third of the distance. The first race against him spans the entirety of that course, but here you just take a right-hand turn. What the hell kind of challenge is that? I had a harder time figuring out a damn caterpillar's gender. I literally spent more time writing that stupid joke than it takes to race Koopa the Quick. Yeah, chew on that for a moment. And I realise this last one might not be a terribly unique problem with Tiny Huge Island, but you can't really explore much. Sure, there's the cave and the Wiggler boss zone, but the main crux of the island feels so bare bones. There are no fun secrets to look for, just corners, squares, spiral up to the top. Meh. On the whole, not a terrible course on its lonesome, just one bundled with a few strings attached that do hamper my enjoyment of it. Okay, if there's one course you were probably waiting to see my placement of, then wait no more, for alas, 11th place is Dire Docks. I can smell the pitchforks and torches already. I mean, the audacity of me to put this above Tiny Huge Midland and Tick-Tock Slop. But see, being a bit of a fish myself, I am somewhat of a water level defender. Yes, they do alter your controls a bit, but honestly, I don't mind that when it gives us some creative design since we're not on dry land. Chests in the Current comes to mind. This star only exists when gravity isn't giving you a helping hand. You've got to make sure you don't overshoot your swimming and get yanked into this whirlpool, but the chests force you to get uncomfortably close to it. Same with things like Manta Ray's Reward and Through the Jet Stream. The execution may be a bit frustrating at times, what with the rings disappearing before you get a chance to swim through them, but the interactivity, especially with the Manta Ray, is really cool. The way it moves about the area as you're collecting the rings means it's never the same any 2 times you do it. Being underwater does force Nintendo to get creative, that's something you can't really argue with. People say that the tunnel connecting the 2 sections is annoying to keep having to swim through, and yeah, I suppose I can't really argue with that. It is tedious, and it's not like there are even any enemies or obstacles to avoid inside, but you can at least collect a couple of stars if you want to avoid it completely, plus you have to repeat a lot of trekking in all the courses. How many times do you have to cross the bridge in Bob-on Battlefield? Well, none if you just take the cannon. Shut up. I do get it though, it's a valid critique. No real characters here either, which I'm gonna give a pass to since this is one of Bowser's lairs. It's not supposed to be a hugely inhabited zone, it's industrial, it's lizard-made. I'll be here all week. The board Bowser's Substar, by the way, is so cool. It's short and it's sweet. It's the first time you'll be diving down to the depths, making it through the tunnel without losing all your air, traversing the boardwalks and the disappearing blocks. It feels cool. It's like a proper little action movie infiltration, simplified down into classic Mario charm. And that extends to the pole jumping style, which many cite as one of the worst in the course, but I can't help but enjoy it, it's a blast. Collecting the caps too, what a concept. First time I get to talk about the caps in this video too, holy hell. You've been using these things all throughout the game in isolated locations. It's very obvious that each cap's only really supposed to be used for singular stars each. But when you see those two boxes next to each other, oh boy! It's a really fun new way to use these power-ups, and the fact that it's the only star in the game to do so makes it that much more special. Absolute cinema. Music cue! Well, that could mean only one of two things. You all saw the colour red. It's Lethal Lava Land, there's no mystery to this. And boy do I have a bone to pick with this one. So remember when I said that Rainbow Ride just felt like a hunk of junk all thrown together with no real rhyme or reason? Well, you know. This is that. But it is a better designed hunk of junk. All of the course elements sort of seem like they spill out from around the volcano in the middle, and they're all very accessible areas to reach. And don't worry, I'll talk about the volcano too, just give it a minute. Unlike Rainbow Ride, where you could only really go one way at a time, and if you did, there was sort of no turning back, here everything's fairly close together, so you can make some big leaps, maybe at the expense of some severe lava-induced burns, and make it across without risking a whole life. This is basically the OG game of the floor is lava. One wrong move and you're gone. But we all know what's immune to lava. Reptiles! If you need to do some long distance travelling, you can grab this Koopa shell and surf the waves to your heart's content, and it feels pretty good getting around on this thing. Bit of a shame you have to fight the bullies a load of times, that's kinda repetitive. But at least we get 2 boss fights out of them! Wow, let me see! Those are just upscaled enemies! But lo and behold, there they are, right alongside the Womp King and bloody Bowser! These guys should not be on the same level as Bowser, they take 1 hit to defeat. At the absolute most, these should be considered mini-bosses. If they get classed as the real deal, then I'm calling the damn Basement Rabbit one too. The red coins are a joke, and these are the worst kind of them to me, the ones that are right next to each other. I love it when they're nicely spread out, actually making you explore parts of the stage you wouldn't normally pass through. That's one of the main problems with this stage. There's so many parts of it that you'll basically never even go on. Like, there's a wing cap box in this course, one of only 3 power-ups in the game, and you're given no incentive to ever use it. Why not have a little area with some coins high up that you could only reach with the wing cap? But they're literally all within the same aspect ratio of each other. That's so dull, they're no fun at all. The rolling log's cool, it's tricky, it's tense, but I honestly always forget it's here since it's literally caged off from the rest of the course. I'm worried what it did wrong. And obviously, I said I would bring it up. Let's talk about the volcano. So you might notice that the volcano's just about the right height to jump into, and upon doing so, oh my god, it's bigger on the inside! Oh yes, as a little bonus, there's a whole interior to the volcano with 2 stars hidden within, and is it weird to say I like this area more than the outside? There are 2 paths to take. There's a scary old elevator which will eventually have you pole jumping and traversing tiny platforms. And there's this big old road hugging the inner walls of the volcano filled with booby traps and enemies and plenty of fire and these cool ass ruins at the top. I'm a sucker for implied civilizations, what can I say? Oh yeah, by the way, this is the point where all the courses are actually good. I may have my criticisms and nitpicks, but it's all for the love of the game. These are all well-designed worlds from now on. I am shocked that this one's as low as it is, because from memory, I love Big Boo's Haunt. It's such a unique concept that the likes of Nathaniel Bandy are still clamouring about today. Mario levels are usually set in big open areas, typically outdoors or at least in some natural environment, but Haunt said no and set its entire course at a haunted manor, and it's perfect, it's beautifully creepy, and it makes you explore every nook and cranny. And this isn't another volcano situation like before. You go into this house, and it is house-sized. Wow, who'd have thought?
Maybe the scale's a little off, or maybe it isn't, I don't know, the house is damn huge, but the interior does its best to match the proportions of the exterior. The main foyer of the house serves as your first battling ground with Big Boo. Many of the different rooms hold red coins in them, each with completely different layouts and enemies to dodge, like this one with the... I always loved the ones with the coffins that rise up and down, hiding goodies underneath them. And as a haunted house would imply, this course is filled with ghosts and you have to clear them all out to fight the first boss! No avoiding them, you've got to face them head on. You might get a bit claustrophobic though and do a bit of exploring outside around the house and notice this shack where inside is an elevator that takes you down and down into a giant tunnel soaked with water, and there's a haunted merry-go-round at the end of it because of course there is. And you fight Big Boo down here again, which we've just done the star before. Huh. You can even fall down here from some of the rooms inside the house. It's so well designed, everything's stacked on top of each other. Though I never did get why there's a big pool down here. I get that the basement's meant to be flooded to add to the atmosphere, but why the depth increase here? There's no coins under the water to collect. They found a use for this bit in the DS version, but in the original, it just stands as a bit of an oddity. Yeah, it's not all sunshine and roses. If you caught on that I didn't like repeatedly fighting bullies before, then you'll guess that I especially don't like fighting Boos along with Big Boo over and over and over. The final battle up on the balcony should be really cool with him, but we've already done this thrice already. And did they forget to add the boss music for this face-off? The same can be asked for Lethal Lava Land, that had a quote-unquote boss, but other than that, these don't feel very pivotal. They're almost treated like any other enemies in the game. You don't even have any attacks unless you count slowly advancing as one. And on top of that, the star spawn is ridiculous! The roof of this place was not designed to be climbed on! I can't tell you how many times I've had to retry just getting to the star after easily defeating the boss right away. In fact, this whole place, while a blast to go through, is clearly being held back by the game's camera. It can get really close up and in your face in some of these rooms, and it brings it down quite a bit. To end back on a positive though, because I want to reiterate, I do really like this course. There are a good decent amount of puzzle stars in here. Secret of the Haunted books, while nothing mind-blowing, fits the themes of this mysterious house perfectly. This isn't some big, bombastic platforming escapade, it's a single hallway with a secret code. I really dig it. Same as having to find secret rooms using the vanish cap to jump through paintings. Everything seems right at home here. This is one of the only courses in the game not to include any Goombas. Instead, the enemies consist of the likes of Boos, creepy crawlies like Mr. Eyes and Scuttlebugs, the spare me god, and other haunted furniture like books and chairs. Mario's greatest foe yet. The series' underground levels are usually nothing to write home about. In fact, they can be some of the most boring in their respective games. That's why they tend to not show up all that often. So Super Mario 64 tried to remedy this by creating a giant series of underground caverns called Hazy Maze Cave. Now this one has the complete opposite effect that Big Boo's Haunt did for me. Back in the day, I used to absolutely hate this course. I'd always try to do the bare minimum stars possible so I could get out of here. But I don't know what happened. Maybe just time passing and understanding how well designed this course is made me come to appreciate it a whole lot more. As the name implies, this thing gets tricky to navigate, so there are multiple maps around the place to help you figure out where you're heading, and it adds just a little bit of that puzzle element that carries over from Haunt. I often find myself taking pictures of the maps on my phone, constantly referencing them and really feeling like I'm exploring to make sure I don't get lost. Because yes, I'm not afraid to admit I still can't navigate the toxic maze first try. As much as I've played this game, it just never sticks in my head. And that's good game design. It's not like it's completely impossible to get out from down there. There are patches above the toxic strange clouds to rest up, and there's even some metal cap boxes that allow you to quickly explore different routes, but taking too long will mean you have to come back and restock. This course also introduced one of the dopest characters ever to the franchise in Dory. I love Dory, man. The star that she appears in, Swimming Beast in the Cavern, makes you think you're about to battle something terrifying. I mean, we've seen swimming beasts before, and they weren't pretty.
But you get down there and there's this adorable thing just moseying on around that's happy to give you a lift. Well, I'd say happy, it doesn't exactly sound like it feels good. There's also a star that requires use of the metal cap, and it's fine. Much prefer the Dory star, as there's that little extra bit of interactivity. This one you just get the cap and walk underwater to a button. It's not like in its other underwater uses where you at least get the cool visual of sinking down somewhere really deep. You just walk a path that's barely submerged. There could have been a really interesting challenge where you have to chain metal caps together and go around the island in the middle. That could have maybe been a bit cooler. And I said I wasn't talking about any of the bonus courses, but I suppose I wouldn't be breaking any rules by talking about the entrance to the Cavern of the Metal Cap. Yep, everyone knows this is the course you access the second cap switch, and it's pretty damn genius. It's very obvious that there are 2 stars down here, so then what is that strange door up there all about? Boom, metal cap portal. In fact, this whole course seems almost intertwined with the metal cap. The entrance isn't a painting, it's a pool of the same material, so's the entrance to the cap course, and about half the stars here require use of it, probably the most in any course to do so. Anyway, enough of the positives. The red coins are giving me a hard time here. Not because they're extremely difficult or anything, I just can't tell if this is a good star or not. It technically falls into the camp of all the coins being held in the same place, but considering the caves are so huge, it still feels like you're covering a lot of ground to collect them. Half of them come from this platform, which people seem to hate, but I don't know, I never minded it too much. You have a fair amount of control over it, changing its direction with these arrows. The worst thing about this area to me is the rocks that the Mr. Eyes are on. They're pretty required to defeat to get the 100 coin star in this course, and I think for this early in the game, they're way too narrow to stay on. Just like Big Boo's Haunt perfectly nails the theming for that course, this one really has you feeling like you're some kind of adventurer. Running around and dodging giant boulders, hanging from grates above bottomless pits, navigating mazes, fighting all sorts of critters. I really do like this place, and once I realised what exactly it was going for, I think it captures it really, really well. Our first snow course this high up in the list? What is this, like a really unique ranking? Yes it is, keep watching, it's a very good video. Cool Mountain has perhaps some of the most charm and personality out of any of the courses in this game. So many stars centre around helping or challenging the locals on the mountain. You'll be helping a lost baby penguin get back to its mother before swiftly discarding it to the frozen abyss. Racing a big penguin hotshot down an icy underground slide. Guiding a snowman's body to a brand new head. The creativity on display here really is something. Usually I'm not a huge fan of stars that make you repeat basically the same thing with a different outcome, but going down the slide on your own to familiarise yourself with it before having to put everything you know about it to the test when you race against the penguin is a really clever way to give you a natural introduction to it instead of just throwing you in the deep end. And it's, dare I say, actually quite a good challenge. The big penguin is fast, and with the slipperiness of the track already, it can be pretty difficult keeping up with him. Especially in the post-game edition where he gets thick. He takes up almost the entire damn slide. Now that's what I'm talking about. That's such a great way of changing something the tiniest bit for players who have completed the game to give them something new to experience after. Shame it's literally the only thing that changes apart from the cannon out front opening, but it's great nonetheless. The red coin star here is pretty good. They're very nicely spread out, so you do get to explore all that the mountain has to offer, but I think maybe some of them are a little too hidden. I'll often get down to the last 2 and forget that, oh silly me, I should have walked the pace of a snail when I dropped down this ledge to find the missing coin. What a goof! And this one hidden on the ledge. Like, nobody found this without a guide. Why would you ever jump off this side of the mountain? That should just spell sudden death. But hey, if it's gonna force me to actually take in the level design, then I can look past it. Speaking of design actually, I swear I always forget about the wall kick star. This section's so closed off, and it's meant to be, don't get me wrong. It's supposed to feed you all that platforming goodness you might have been lacking from just sliding around for 5 stars in a row. But
that also makes it far less memorable. It's the lethal cage problem. It's this little extra bit on the side that makes perfect sense to be a little extra bit on the side, but because it's a little extra bit on the side, you get where I'm going with this. Why am I carrying on? And as the name implies, well, not really implies, it's a mountain. Which does mean that you'll be doing a lot of sliding down it. But like we've established, there are at least 2 different ways of doing this. And there is a warp point at the bottom, so once you're down there, it's not like you have to quit and start all over again or waste a load of time scaling back up. But there's not really much in the middle of this course. To which you might say, Dragoneel, you dimwit, of course there's stuff in the middle. Look at this diagram, that's the middle, and that's stuff. But most of the acts you'll actually need to perform are either at the very top or the very bottom, meaning, if you're a slide enjoyer, it's your lucky day! But if you're not, then you have to subject yourself to the same slopes time and time again. But it's not that big a deal. I mean, if it was, this would be way lower in my ranking. Like I said, it's still a creative as hell course, and I think it's got the most individual character out of any other in the game. It's just a shame it's built vertically. If only there were a land that was snowy and horizontal. Oh wait! Yep, Snowman's Land is the cooler Cool Mountain. Some of these courses have such stupid names, I swear to God. Right off the bat, let me tell you something. We don't have to do a whole lot of climbing here, and for the tallest structure we do have to climb, we only have to do it once. And Nintendo knows you might be feeling a bit mountained out at this point, and they're gonna throw another one at you the course after, so they made it a bit smaller. It's not the whole course you have to scale. I mean, we've been there, done that already. What would be the point in repeating things over and over again? That would just become stale. At what point do you realise that, in fact... Oh no. This centrepiece acts as more of a medium difficulty platforming challenge. There's tight little walkways here. You really have to mind your step, which is refreshing enough. But wait! This isn't just any mountainous structure. This is a man. A snowman's land. This is by far the largest geezer in the game, heck, in the whole series until this point, and it's dope not to have him just be a kind of antagonist. He doesn't hurt us, but he can knock us back, but like, we are on his head. I suppose nits wouldn't really call humans antagonists. Not really a relevant comparison for me to make, what's a Dragoneel's equivalent, like a cleaner wrasse? What the hell is the point of this bit? What am I doing talking about fish? Not only is he a good adversary, there we go, but he's built into the land itself. He is a big chunk of the land, which is just plain and simply well put together. Halfway round to the base of the snowman, there's this cool translucent ice area where we have to fight Chief Chili. Really sorry guys, I actually got this guy mixed up with the boss you have to fight in Super Mario 64 DS to unlock Wario. This fella here is actually called a Chill Bully. Do not be mistaken. He is unfortunately a boss in the same vein as the bullies were in Lethal Lava Land, only taking a single hit to defeat, but I have to excuse that here. Mainly down to the fact you only have to fight this guy once, it doesn't become repetitive like it does in Lethal Lava Land. In fact, it kinda comes out of nowhere. But also just the construction of the arena itself, it's quite a bit smaller than the lethal ones, and the slipperiness of the controls on the ice make it that much more challenging not to be bumped off by the bully. Another notable landmark includes a small maze made out of ice cubes that will catch you out from time to time if you forget its secret. See, the actual path, once you've figured it out, is as easy as jumping onto the ice and dropping down a single hole. But the designers took advantage of the graphical limitations with the camera not being able to see very well through the ice texture, so that on your first go at this start, you're genuinely stumped at what to do. There's also a freezing pond that will damage you if you stay in it for too long, and a hidden ledge on the other side that you actually have to use one of the course's enemies to reach. That's really inventive! You'll be coming back here a couple times, as right next to the star here is a shell to shred for the 8 red coins, which are a bit on the easy side. 4 are in a straight line and 2 are just next to each other. That's a shame. It would have been nice to have a little more difficulty since you are entering the last chunk of the game by this point. There's also a star inside an igloo, but it's
tiny. How can a star possibly fit inside? Oh my god, they did it again! See, Nintendo discovered a secret fetish during the development of this game where they just love to cram impossibly large spaces into tiny course elements, and it's on full display here. Like with the last course on this list, introducing you to a concept before making you face it in a harder way, you've already dealt with the mini ice maze outside, so within the igloo is a ginormous one! And again, because of the graphics on the ice texture, it can be really tricky to navigate this one. That's why they placed a Vanish Cap box at the back, rewarding you for doing most of the hard work with all these coins and a star frozen in the walls. You see these the moment you set foot in the igloo and have no idea how to access them both until you've mastered the whole interior. Perfect setup, flawless execution, easily, to me, one of the most satisfying moments in the game. And that sums up a lot of this course in general. Scaling the snowman, whirling from the freezing pond, it's all a blast to play through. And there are still 5 courses better. Prepare for some Nintendo masterclasses at game design. How the hell is the desert one my 5th favourite course in the game? I'll tell ya. Shifting Sandland is a perfect lesson in patience. Oh, what's that? The water levels are a lesson in patience too, but they still suck? Grow up! You don't even swim that slow! With the ground covered in pools of quicksand that'll instantly pull you under upon contact, you've really got to make sure you're careful where you tread here. The entire edge of the course is surrounded by it too, so you always feel like one wrong step can send you down a sandy grave. This is especially prevalent when trying to collect the red coin, specifically the coin at the starting point of the course. It's all the way on the other end of this dune, and boy are the dunes slippery in this desert. You've got to creep your way towards it and carefully back out if you want to avoid sliding into the quicksand. This Toxbox section too, there's another coin slap bang in the jumble of blocks, and sure, if you want to risk it for a biscuit, you can try skipping large chunks of it with a long jump, but taking your time means you also have to wait for these giant metal squares to do their thing, and maybe it's just me, but I always find it so tense lining up the perfect spot where their hollow sides will pass right over you. Then making a mad dash while you can hear the metal pounding getting closer again. God, it's so fun. There's one hidden in the oasis that gives you a taste of normality again before taking to the sky for the rest. That's another thing this course does really well, and quite surprisingly so. The wing cap lets you get around this course with such ease, and I think it's probably the second best course to use it. It feels so at home in this big open desert. It's also got a great use for the first star. A vulture named Klepto flies around 4 tall pillars, and in his claws, our first prize. You can end up in a bit of a wild goose chase with this thing with how unpredictable his movement is. It's pretty fun. Star 2, shining atop the pyramid, one of our big platforming adventures this course. It's completely surrounded by the one-hit quicksand, so it feeds the tension that carries on from the Toxbox area, especially when you continue further up the pyramid and the walkways get thinner and thinner. Obviously this can all be skipped using the wing cap, but if you take the intended route, it's a really damn good challenge. By Star 3, you enter one of the best sub-areas in the game, the Ancient Pyramid. We just climbed this thing from the outside, and that was already pretty big enough. But not to these guys! If something like Hazy Maze Cave had you feeling like Indiana Jones, just you wait. Flowing sandfalls, moving stairs, ropes to climb, walls to shimmy along. And the enemies here tie into the level perfectly too. These crazy looking mummified versions of what could be thwomps called Grindles and Spindles. Outside in the sun, Klepto flies around looking for hats to steal, the Pokey. All really thematically fitting creeps to stop you on your travels. Though, now we've got this whole pyramid, of course we're going to use it a few times. There's another variation of the third star where we have to scale the whole thing again. Not a bad thing, might I add. This is basically an entirely different course. I'm completely fine with this. We find a little cutout section in this ledge in addition to the sand funnels we've seen all the way up. It's basically a reverse of inside the pyramid. We have to climb back down the interior along these little, and I mean tiny platforms and then down to the sandfalls. Again, the patience. You cannot rush this one, otherwise you'll be climbing the pyramid again and again. And then, the main big bad of Shifting Sandland, the boss. Yes, this is another course blessed with its own unique boss battle, and we solve the star titles riddle and bust open the top of the pyramid, ride down an elevator, go through a doorway, and we fall deep underneath it and awaken I-Rock. I'll get this out of the way now because there are a few more banging bosses coming up, but none of these fights are especially difficult. They all follow the same formula, have similar attack patterns, but two hands with eyes in their palms? Okay, that wasn't the best way I could have sold it, but they're so awesome! They have the advantage of being one entity split into two forms, so while one defends itself from your attacks, the other strikes at you, which can catch you off guard, especially its final attack. That one kept getting me, it's brilliant, and by far one of my favourite bosses in the whole game. And the next course doesn't even have one. How good must it be? You want to see a course that simply shouldn't work but does anyway? Well, take a gander at Wet Dry World. At a glance, you'd think this place presents itself as a town. It's very urban, there's paths and structures, an elevator, even locals. But when you take a look at the course altogether, you start to realise that actually, this is just shapes. But I love shapes! And the locals? Mostly robotic, and the ones that aren't are just skeeters, bugs that live in dingy, dark areas. But these elements all just come together in a really satisfying way. I don't quite know how else to put it. Most of the stars here aren't even that exhilarating. Shocking arrow lifts can be beaten in a single long jump, obviously not intentional. The real method includes taking about 4 steps on different, well, you know, arrow lifts. Express elevator! Hurry up! Nintendo just hates punctuation, don't they? 2 hyphens! Those sick animals. It's literally just going to the top of a thing, then going to the bottom of it, and then going up it again. Top of the town though, now this is where the course design shines! You might already know this, oh, who am I kidding, of course you know this, you wouldn't be watching the video otherwise, but scattered around the world are crystal taps. Thank you, Super Mario Wiki! They raise and lower the water at your will. This right here, this is a game changer. You don't like water levels? Pull a Moses and get rid of the water. You like water levels? Pull a god and flood the place. I didn't expect to get religious today, yet here we are. The flooded version allows you to get right up to the top with ease, but the crystal taps are spread out quite a bit. You have to find each one at every different water level to make the world fully wet. But for those more acclimatized to the dry, introducing Heave Ho. I'm guessing these little wind-up bots are being mass-produced by Bowser considering his face is printed on the side of them, but you know, I mean, sure, everyone's got a side hustle these days, good for him. Anyhow, they're designed to flip you up in the air and shatter your spine back on impact with the ground, but we are clever. Who says we have to land at the same point and not further up? Like the spindrifts of Snowman's Land, boosting us across the pond, it's another fun creative use of an enemy being recycled in a platforming context. This course is just another perfect puzzle. You've got to figure out how high or low you need the water at for each star, and it adds this whole layer of control that you don't get in any other world. And that's just half of it. We've had our eyes on this giant corner blocked off for our whole time here, and we finally get the water to its highest possible point. Well, actually, I'll expand on that in a sec. And we blast off from this cannon, which is damn hard to get to. The pink bob-on body is on this platform way up, and it takes a very tight jump to reach, even from the highest crystal tap level. But it's not the highest level entirely possible. Pulling off the biggest jump you can while entering the course will give it enough water to reach the cage without need of the cannon. In fact, any height you jump into the world's painting will determine the water level. Wait, hang on, I'm not supposed to talk about the entrances to the course. The town! You remember earlier when I said I loved implied civilizations? Yeah, I know, good times. Well, how do you think I felt when I found a deserted town on the other side of the course? Rhetorical question, I'm morbid, I was thrilled.
This is probably the most down-to-earth feeling area in the whole game. Literally. The houses are to scale with a modern street scene, there's a town hall with a courtyard, loads of greenery. So why does it feel so eerie? It's wonderfully mysterious. Where did all the people go? The sides are all closed in like this place was deliberately built to reside underneath the main town of the world. But you can do cool parkour on the rooftops for red coins, and you got a fun little time trial with the vanish cap. You've got to nab it, loop around a building to slam down on a purple switch and make it all the way from one side of town to the other, inside a cage and up a tower using a block from the switch. This course just exudes joy to me. It's a great platformer, it puts everything you need at the palm of your hands, and I love it. I think it was only natural that the first 3 courses would be the best 3. The game developers needed to pull out all the stops to hook people in with these. If Bob-omb Battlefield, Womp's Fortress and Jolly Roger Bay weren't a ball to play, people would have never stuck around for the rest of the game. And they smashed it out of the park. Or should I say, out of the fortress. Let's talk about most people's favourite course in Super Mario 64. Womp's Fortress is, like Wet Dry World, a platformer's paradise. The entire fortress is built on a floating isle in the sky, mainly all leading upwards towards the top and the tower. But Dragoneel, I hear you cry, you hate vertical courses. You said it yourself this entire time. The whole reason you put Snowman's Land above Cool Cool Mountain is because it was all vertical and upwards. Shush, first of all, it may be a stack, but it's a chunky stack. There's plenty of width to leave a good few areas where falling won't mean sending you right back down to the bottom, just the next layer of the fortress. And on top of that, getting back up has so many different options. Straight away you'll notice that while the intended route might be to cross this wall with the moving blocks and climb the stairs with the thwomps, returning players to this area can skip that whole section by jumping up, grabbing this ledge and skipping straight to the next level. Then immediately after that you meet this collapsing bridge which forces you to get used to the speed Mario can run at, or you can learn to shimmy across this tight ledge for a red coin. Getting up top, you could take these revolving lifts, but why not climb this flagpole and leap to it instead? The amount of ways to get from A to B here are brilliant. Not only brilliant, but quick. It always takes until I actually sit down to run around the fortress to realise that actually, this is quite a small location. You can get from one side of the course to the other in a matter of seconds now. As stated at the very beginning of this video, I do personally prefer the larger scale biomes, places that make you feel like you're actually exploring a world, not just an obstacle course. But for what it's selling, well, Womp's Fortress can take my money. The stars. Battling the Womp King can be pretty tough for newcomers to the fortress. I know I can still get caught under him if I'm not paying enough attention. A good link between this and, say, Bob-omb Battlefield that I find really clever is the way they introduce their key antagonistic forces. I'll talk about the Battlefield ones when I get there, but having thwomps fairly early on in your journey to the top of the fortress, teaching you to keep an eye on the timings of falling objects, then placing regular womps just below the boss battle arena that you learn you can destroy with a ground pound, sets you up perfectly for this fight. It's something that goes away a bit with the later courses, but I love not only the thematic relevance, what with the thwomps and womps being grouped in the same sort of species, but the gameplay connection too. It makes everything feel so earned when you crush the Womp King. Then when he's gone, a tower appears and adds even more tight jumps to master, now that you don't need to worry about how to defeat enemies as much anymore, as well as a bullet bill launcher to avoid, which, gotta be honest, I never saw the point of. I used to think you had to lead it around the newly formed tower to knock over the beam to the spinning platforms, but you can just do that yourself. Strange inclusion. I think it's just here to add danger to an otherwise fairly safe zone. Shoot into the Wild Blue's a bit of a funky one. One wrong move could send you straight off the edge of the course after all.
I didn't mention it, but we had plenty of that in Tall Tall Mountain, but at least here you get a bit of a safety net in these pillars to aim at to bring you to a halt, or you could just be an absolute maniac and freeball it right for the star. I love everything that has you up in the sky. The red coin and cage stars have you balancing above the fortress or soaring sky high with this rad little owl guy, and he's a hoot. The owl character's name is Hoot. I love that. I hope Nintendo never changes how simple their naming conventions are. I take it back. My one main gripe with this course is, funnily enough, something that the DS remake fixes completely. That doesn't happen often. And that's the fact that half the course is just cut off. There's nothing around it, and it comes across like wasted or, dare I say, unfinished space. Super Mario 64 DS extended the grassy area to fill out another side of the base, and it feels a lot more complete that way. Plus, it cancels out all of these cheap deaths from any miscalculated jumps. Those always felt a bit harsh to me, especially for the second level of the game. But all in all, I can totally understand how this can be a lot of people's favourite. It's an absolute masterpiece from a platforming perspective. It's just not quite perfection for me. Surely not. Surely I wouldn't. Surely Dragoneel of the Undersea Grotto couldn't put a water level as his #1 course in the game! Correct, but how many of you are eating your hats because it's this high? Now, what is so special about Jolly Roger Bay? I mean, it's just a small sandy cove, a few rocks here and there, some wooden boardwalks, a cave, a pit under the water that's home to... yes. Childhood trauma. If you were/are scared of this thing too, then join the club. Soon there'll be enough of us to brush Eelimouth's teeth. Unagi the eel is without a doubt the centerpiece of this course. Yep, it sure is. When I tell you I could not complete Can the Eel Come Out to Play until the All-Stars version of the game on the Switch, of the time I would have been about 18 years old, this course haunted me for years, and that carried through to other games because, God forbid, Nintendo just don't put an eel in their game. Quite honestly, it drove me to the point of obsession. I'd boot up this course just to swim into the open and watch its head poke out from the sunken ship at a distance. I've combed through every theory, seen every hidden detail and piece of lore regarding the bay and its terrors. And yet, above the water, it's calm, tranquil. No enemies up here, just you and the shore, a few boardwalks and rocky ledges. The music, titled after Dire Dire Docks, but let's face it, it's the Jolly Roger Bay music, puts you in a state of zen. The pink bob-on buddy going and opening the cannon for you reminds you that this is a fun, silly game. The first area you'll explore underwater is full of clams and coins and schools of fish. Yeah, it hasn't aged incredibly. Compare it to the Seaside Kingdom in Mario Odyssey and it looks like one of the rooms from Saw. But people, for the time, this is delightful. It gets you used to all the tricks of the trade under the water. When you spot a coin or a shell inside a clam and swim down to reach it, it might close on you, spinning you back, showing what taking damage will do down here. It also lets you know that maybe you should wait back a little before you investigate certain elements. The ocean cave serves as your little action set piece, with all these falling stone pillars trying to squash you, Goombas charging you and all, with the secret chests left there by the Cap'n. Oh Cap'n, my Cap'n. What happened to them? Where did they go? Now some of you might be thinking, the hell is he talking about? What captain? And I would like to bite back at that and say, don't you dare disrespect the Cap'n. There's no tie in that name. The Cap'n is a character that, yes, technically isn't in the game, but is brought to life by 2 signs. Guys, please, no, wait, I swear it's interesting. And yes, if I read all the signs on all the courses, then maybe I'd find some level of newfound appreciation for all of them. But go away, I know for a fact there aren't any more Cap'ns in the game. Why am I talking so much about this implied character? Well, my dear friends, that's because each of the stars in this course are an entire adventure of their own.
When plundering the sunken ship, at first there's a haze or mist covering the bay and the sky's a dark, smoky colour. What's weird about it? Well, it's the only time in the game you get this. Returning to the star after collecting it won't have the fog back or the sky darker. You descend into the bay, swim up to Unagi, chilling in the ship. It doesn't attack you. Swim away, either to the surface or just enough distance for the fish to leave its spot, and entering the ship puts you in front of 4 chests with a specific order to open. Completing the code will begin raising the ship, and as it breaks the surface, the water level lowers and you're forced to climb these barnacles that have latched to the interior of the ship, at the top of which is a star. This is the first star! That's like 3 objectives mixed into one. What a darn amazing introduction. After being booted from its house, Unagi chooses a hole in a rocky wall, and hey, this is the same setup as before. We'll just swim over to it, it won't react, and... Okay, so Nintendo patched its movement between the stars. Nice to find that out the easy way. It leaves the hole and has a star attached to its tail, which you've got to be quick to grab lest you want the eel to return to its hole and make you endure that jump scare all over again. It's sort of like a strange precursor to the Klepto Star in Shifting Sandland. But now we're all done playing around with that thing, we gotta take the next step. Past the bay and into this dope as hell cave. The captain's playing their same tricks from the ship outside and has even set up booby traps that we have to avoid to reach the sacred treasure. Yet the captain canonically set up all these 100-foot pillars, my goat. From there, the story aspect is over, the story of the captain and the creature, and you're free to wander. Free to grab the red coins scattered amongst the ship, the clams, the deep, and the stone pillars. To take the cannon and blast to the skyscraping rocks we just learned to climb and find a star on a ledge overlooking the bay we've come to explore. And of course, the first star requiring use of the metal cap, grabbing it from the boardwalks and leaping in, plummeting into the ocean, sinking deep down into the pit to say goodbye to our old friend one last time. Absolute cinema. Wait, no, I've done the absolute cinema bit already. On the other watercourse, might I add. Well, I don't care. Call it bias, call it whatever you want. Jolly Roger Bay is a masterpiece of underwater game design. But it's not the best course in the game, because let me tell you that Bob-omb Battlefield is the perfect environment to learn, battle, and explore. Actually, this is one of the more linear courses, generally. Whereas something like Wet Dry World, for example, might have just thrown you in and gone, yeah, I don't know, figure it out, dummy. Bob-omb Battlefield wants you to embark on the quest it's laid ahead of you. Now, that being said, it's not at all a bad thing. I mean, just because the Sand Kingdom in Odyssey has you sticking to one path for the majority of its story doesn't mean you'd ever call it a bad level. Like, people complain that the Galaxy games are too linear in their level design and then point to Lethal Lava Land as their perfect sandbox example. Buddy, that is a square. There's only like 4 directions to choose. B.O.B, now that is what you would call a sandbox. You jump through the painting, bam, you're dropped right in the middle of a war. You talk to the closest people you can find, they immediately give you a rundown on the situation and become your allies, proceeding to stick by your side throughout the entirety of the rest of the game. That is so adorable. You help them out one time and they agree to help activate cannons for you wherever you should need them. Now that's loyalty to the max. There's instant room to roam here. Sure, there's a bridge that's very obviously guiding you upwards, but the bob-ombs to the left might drive your attention to the trench where you'll find a gate that seems accessible from the other side. Gotta keep that one in mind. To the right of the bridge is this strange translucent box, and running over to it and turning back lets you find these coins under the bridge, which has a couple of Goombas on it. Now, you might be a bit hesitant to attack them, or more so defend yourself from them, since they'll actually engage with you first. So if you don't want to deal with them just yet, there's a rotating elevator just next to the bridge, safe from the enemies, and lifting you right into a red coin, most likely the first red coin you'll ever collect. Okay, gotta look out for more of those too. Mario runs into a field full of Bowser's front line, past a giant chain chomp that has plenty of room to dodge its bite, but there's another one of those red coins you might want to think about swiping. Then it's into the heart of the battlefield with plenty more bob-ombs and water bombs to defuse the enemy. That's hilariously fitting. You finally scale the mountain, avoiding these rolling bulls all the way. You can tell this is really building up to something, to battle and defeat the general in charge of the Bob-omb army, and it is the first boss in the game, meaning it's quite slow. But his arrogance allows you to figure out his weakness, slamming him into the ground as the power star bursts out from within him, stripping him of his magic and rendering him just another big dud, rolling with the rest at the bottom of his royal turf, an insult to his majesty. What an opening! This is plundering the sunken ship on steroids. You're introduced to so many different mechanics and set pieces all in one go, and that was just the first star. From there, the locals start spreading in. Having heard rumour of your defeat of the tyrant, Cooper the Quick, we love Cooper the Quick, challenges you to a race up to the top where you've been introduced to all the hazards and obstacles along the way already, just like Cool Cool Mountain. It all comes full circle. There are stars in the sky, down on the ground, battling enemies, running around. It's all simply perfect. The trees scattered around help you learn to climb if you hadn't already learnt from Peach's castle grounds, and you might think, strange, there's no real need to climb anything here, but it comes back into play when you have to make a shot to the island in the sky where, instead of firing blindly and hoping you'll land, you put 2 and 2 together that if you aim for the treetop on the island, you'll grab onto it, securing your landing safely. Star 6 is brilliant. You'll see it from the moment you boot up the course, and if you're brave enough to try experimenting, or maybe you stabilise your jump to get the red coin with a ground pound, or maybe you read the clue in the star's title, you'll lower the stake holding the Chain Chomp's chain, and 1, 2, 3, it's genius! Not only genius for being a cool little secret in itself, but assuming you took the lift at the start, you now have 2 red coins and there was another one just back that way up by the cannon. Oh look, there's 2 down here just lying out in the open. But what about up there? This slope's too steep to climb, so the game shows you that sometimes undoing a bit of progress, for example, I don't know, sliding back down this part of the mountain, can actually get you a reward instead. We found another one up in the sky with that tree, but there doesn't seem to be anywhere else I can see on the ground. But what about underground? That gate from the very beginning, something has to lead to it, and it sure does. There's even a 1-up for figuring out this hidden area. These coins aren't difficult to grab by any means, but they perfectly showcase the parts of the course you might have only ran through before. And the wing cap star. Having the first star designed to use the wing cap also be accessible if you don't have it unlocked yet is awesome! Sure, it might take you a lot more attempts, but that'll only encourage you to unlock all of the secrets earlier on. But once you've revealed the star, why stop there? Because of the vastly different levels of verticality in this course, you can fly around it for ages. No joke, I always get distracted with the stars in the battlefield and just go flying. The course is so fun. Warping from flower patches and mountainside cutouts, green demons, terrain that alters on your positioning. This course is throwing absolutely everything at you, but it's never losing its touch. You're always reminded that you're in a battlefield, whether it's the raining fire of water balloons or the guys that are just added for detail. This little fella won't even attack you, you can't use his cannon or anything. These little things just serve to make the environment more immersive to you, and it succeeds every time. God, this video was long, but I wasn't gonna cheap out on you guys. I know what I'm doing, and I'm gonna do it right. I'm hoping the next video won't take as long to get out. It's on a much shorter topic, but honestly, only time can tell with it. But I want to just thank you guys for watching this video, sticking around, having faith that I wasn't just a one and done. It's been really interesting seeing some of your guys' opinions on the polls and stuff that I've been putting out. Some of the levels that I really like do seem to be less popular with you guys, which, to be honest, I just love. And on top of that, I like interacting with you guys. I like knowing that people like the same stuff that I do and they want to talk to me about it. So I'll be putting plenty more of those out in the build-up to the next video. But yeah, that's just about all I've got to say. This video has been long enough. Everyone, take care of yourselves and stay sparkling. Yeah, I'll stick with that.